Good morning, it's Sandy from Talk of Thailand here, and today I'm going to tell you a story that happened yesterday, and it completely destroys your whole thoughts on life and how things are going around and how things have changed, and you find out that nothing's changed really and many things stay the same even here in Thailand, and it's disappointing. Let me tell you about it. Please stay focused. Thank you. Well, my story today, those of you who have watched my previous videos, particularly the ones on the dental treatment I had done here, will remember that before that dental treatment I used to be petrified of going to the dentist actually, and I was fortunate to find a very good dentist in Pattaya here who carried out a lot of work in my mouth, many extractions, etc., and gave me a set of dentures. And since then I've kind of sailed along and thought I've wasted my life hating dentists, because they restored my confidence in the dentistry, and particularly the dentistry here in Thailand. Well, let me tell you what happened yesterday. Well, actually it started on Saturday, just a couple of days before, and I was sitting having dinner with the family, and suddenly one of my teeth, one of the remaining teeth, of the few remaining teeth, suddenly snapped in half, and I was left with a big chunk of it in my hand. Oh, anyway, no problem, I just have to go to the dentist and get it fixed. Better to do it now before the remaining tooth has a problem and starts deteriorating, and then it can become much more serious, etc. So I thought, right. So consequently on Monday I booked an appointment, no, on the Tuesday I booked an appointment for Monday I booked an appointment, that's correct, and it was for the Tuesday lunchtime. And just as I was getting ready to go on Tuesday lunchtime, they phoned me up and they said, can we delay your appointment till tomorrow, Wednesday lunchtime? Not a problem, not for me. So, yesterday I went off down to the dentist, quite happily, blah blah blah, knowing that and they also told me in the phone call that I would be seeing the same specialist that I'd done all the other dental work, because I was now one of his patients. Perfect. That was brilliant news, because I got a lot of time and respect for that man. So yesterday I set off and I went down to the dental surgery, not far from here, down in the Pattaya town centre, and I got there, and at the allotted time, just shortly after anyway, I went in to see the dentist, who examined the broken tooth and the rest of it, and then shook his head, tusk, 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 tusk. Now, just to step back to the previous treatment, I had multiple visits, a lot of treatment, a lot of extractions, new dentures made, etc., and all that cost me about 42,000 baht. Now then, that worked out to just over £1,000, which, although it's a significant amount of money, it seemed they'd done a lot of work for it, and I was as happy as I could be with getting dentures, and it all worked out well. Well, what happened yesterday? With this test, he then gave me a mirror to look in the tooth while he was pointing to it, and he had a big screen in front of me with the x-rays that they'd taken before of the tooth, and he explained to me that the tooth that had broken had a large filling at some previous date. So I've had quite a few fillings over the years, yeah, and it didn't surprise me. And he said, right, the only way to treat this, he said, because where the cavity, where the filling has came out, is very close to the nerves, and it would need to be cleaned off, etc., and there was a danger of getting near the nerves. He suggested that a course of treatment. And that course of treatment would start by root canal treatment, where they would go in and basically kill the tooth. And then, once that had been completed, they would then, I'd then go back to see, this would be done by another person who was a specialist in root canals. And then I'd go back and see him, and he would drill and put a stud type effort into the tooth. And then they would build up the tooth round about that stud to a certain height, and then you top it all off with a nice zircon crown. Wow, wonderful. So I said, well, that sounds okay. I said, so what's the price of that? So he sat down with a piece of paper and he said, oh, well, the root canal treatment is going to cost you 12,000 bahts. This other, the stud and the insertion of the stud, that's going to cost you 5,000 bahts. And then the building up is going to cost you another 5,000 bahts. And then the zircon crown on top, let's call it 32,000 bahts, he said. 30. What? 32,000 bahts for a broken tooth, and I got a whole bloody mouthful of teeth and removed and dentist fixed for just a little bit more than that? I said, you're joking. He said, no. I said, that's what needs doing. All sorts of things come to my mind. I'll tell you about them in a minute, you know. But anyway, so I said, okay, what are the options? He said, there are no options. He said, that's it. I said, there's no options? I said, what about we just took the tooth out? He said, oh no, he said, it's got a nice healthy root in it. You can't do that. I said, but that's a lot less expensive. He said, oh, it's less expensive, but he said, that's not the way to go. I said, of course it's not the way to go if there's a lot of money involved in it. He said, what we could do is he says, we could just get the root canal done, he says, and then we'll put the stud in, and then we'll just build the tooth up, and that might suffice, he said, that might do okay, and we don't need to do the zircon crown on top, and that'll bring it down to about 25,000 bahts. That's 600 odd pounds, you know. I said, no, I'm not having this. I said, that's money I'm not prepared to spend on this tooth. I said, it's not hurting me. I said, I can stay there for the moment, and I'm quite happy with that. And then the tune changed again. He says, okay. He said, what we can do, he says, is we can just replace the filling. I said, oh, you told me that wasn't possible. He said, no, we can do it, but we can't guarantee it's going to stay there forever. I said, of course you can't. I said, but what's that going to cost? He said, well, that'll cost you 2,500 bahts, which is 2,500 baht, which is, about 60 odd quid. Well, that's getting much more near the target that I was aiming for. But I know in other smaller, less salubrial dentist surgeries around here, fillings are 800 bahts and extractions are 1,000 bahts. So why is this 2,500? That's a top private hospital charges that, like Bangkok Memorial and places like that, where you pay top notch. And these people are obviously thinking they can demand that sort of money from me. So I was very unhappy about it, and in the end I said, well, I'm going to have to think about this. So they wrote out an official quotation with all the various options and things, and they gave it to me when they left, and I thought, well, they can give it to me, but that's the last time. Even though I like the dentist a lot, I won't be back, because it was just a pure and utter opportunity for them to build up a small repair into a major bill, you know. And that's not uncommon, is it? You know, we all experience that. It made me think of, you know, when you call a plumber in to fix a leaking tap, he doesn't want to come to your house to fix a leaking washer and a tap. That's pence for the washer and a small charge for the visit. No, he's wasting his time. He's wasting his day. He wants to come along and get decent money from you. That's the way of life, and we all know that happens. If he comes in to fix a water pump on the heating system and it turns out that there's just a fuse gone, he's not going to tell you that you just need a 50 pence fuse or he's going to tell you you need a new bloody pump. That's what he's going to tell you, and the pump makes his visit worthwhile with the money he makes on the pump. And he might not even change the pump, actually. He might even just change the fuse. You're not to know. He'll show you an old pump out his van or something, you know. This happens. I'm not exaggerating. You know it happens. Same as, you know, I used to take my car. I used to, when it needed an exhaust, I used to take it into some big chain in UK, and if it needed a bit of an exhaust, and go. And of course, these people have got you by the short and curlies then, because they put your car up in the ramp and they go and look at your exhaust system, and oh, yes, it does need a new, but you can't just fit that section. You're going to have to get the middle section, and the front section looks corroded. You're going to have to get the total exhaust done. 4 times more than you needed to pay. And not only that, while they're under there, they'll probably notice that your shock absorbers need replacing, and your tyres are getting close to being finished, and they start trying to bump up your visit to that establishment. And I've got to say, it's kind of natural, isn't it? But it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's not fair on people who can't really afford to have these things done, and they take the tradesmen and the people who know, they take them at their word, and they don't really think it out that these people are trying to screw their asses off, you know. And that's what they're trying to do, and that's common in many facets of what we deal with. I'm very fortunate, you know, that in my life I've never had to work in a service industry where I was responsible for giving out prices and costs to the public for jobs to be done. I've done it for major projects in the oil industry, and where everything's priced out, double checked, treble checked, and then when you give it to the customer, he goes through all his engineers go through it to make sure it's all fair, and then you go into negotiations, and it's all to the penny. Well, you don't get a chance to do that if you're a customer in a quick fit garage, or you've got a plumber in your house, or a man on your roof who's taken some tiles off and found that it says that there's a problem under the tiles and he's not going to put them back. There's all sorts of opportunities for these people to scam you, to really screw you against the wall, and attempt to get extreme costs out of you. So, as you can gather, yesterday was not a good day for me, and it was it destroyed my confidence. Not my confidence, it destroyed my whole impression of the person that I was sitting in front of, that he was doing that to me. Actually, he'd been very forthright and honest with me in the past, and all of a sudden I seen another side to them. And I can understand in this pandemic situation where very few people are going to get treatment done, they've got to maximise every visitor that they get, and to me it's not right, you know. It's sad. So that's today's video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. It's not a pleasant one to make, but it's a fact of life, and it's a fact of life not only here in Thailand but everywhere in the world. I think everywhere in the world, and that's the way it is. So thanks for watching. Take care. Keep away from this COVID shit, and get your vaccinations when you can. Bye for now.